It's like a diamond up there. Coming up here on your left, the silver triangular shaped building is the Swiss Hotel by Harry Weiss, 1980s. Harry Weiss was an avid yachtsman. He truly was one of the first architects in our city to view this river more as an amenity versus an eyesore. He's done a lot of building and renovating along our Chicago River. Yes, Harry Weiss sort of takes the box of the modern athletic club by Al Schlager. Had the largest swimming pool of any club in Chicago, a rifle range, and an 18-hole miniature golf course in there. The dome at the top was intended to be a docking facility for dirigibles, which was the fashionable air travel back then. Way off to your right, whoop, you can just barely see it, it's in a cloud. There's a black building in the cloud, but you can see the two white antennas. There's X racing on the exterior forming diamond shapes. Well, it's a building. It's the third tallest building in our city, the John Hancock. 1969, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. It actually has the highest residency in the whole wide world in there. At the 92nd floor, you are living 1,000 feet up in the sky. My guess is they can't see what's going on below them today. Here to your left, just beyond this black box, is a tall, sleek Art Deco building. It is 333 North Michigan Avenue, 1928, Halliburton and Rue. In 1922, Colonel McCormick, the owner of the Chicago Tribune newspaper, held a contest. They invited architects from all over the world to build the most beautiful and distinguished office building. 264 entries in this design contest. This building is a tribute to the design that won second place by Eliel Saarinen. First place, however, went to this building here on your right in gray, Gothic version of an American skyscraper. This is our Tribune Tower. 1926, the winners, Raymond Hood and John Mead Howells from New York. Up ahead, looks like white frosting dripping from a cake. A landmark in Chicago. William Wrigley came here in the 1800s as a soap salesman. He didn't do too well selling soap, so he decides to sell cans of baking powder. Now, with each can of baking powder that he sells, he gives his customers 2 pieces of gum. The baking powder didn't do so well, but the gum sure did. Due to Wrigley Gum, he becomes a multi-millionaire and is able to put up this exquisite skyscraper for us. Here on your left, another classical revival building, the London Guarantee Building, 1923 by Al Schuler. Here at the base, a triumphant archway is Lincoln Tower, was formerly known as Mather Tower after its developer. This Art Deco building from 1928, designed by Herbert Riddle, was the tallest building in Chicago for 1 week. Oh yes, you had to claim those bragging rights very quickly around this town. Speaking of tall, look what's happening here on your right side. Our new Trump International Hotel and Tower by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. When completed, this will be the second tallest building in Chicago. Hotel Nico by Helmuth Obertat and Kasselbaum. Joined beautifully here with this 3-level terrace in the Beaux-Arts style of design to what was the headquarters for Quaker Oats. Design, but it also set the official time for workers. Many Chicagoans in the early 1900s could not afford wristwatches. That way they could get to work or school on time. After being a warehouse for many years, this building became Chicago's traffic court. Yes, I was there once or twice. It's currently being renovated for new office space and a brand new restaurant, Fulton's on the River. Part of our boat here, you see the side green wall of this building. It is an old coffee and tea warehouse by Lawrence Hallberg, 1912. Now, many of the Chicago School architects were trained in the 1880s by Booth Hansen and Associates. The top was a boardroom for the executives of Helene Curtis Hair Care. This building has been sold as well, and I thought so appropriately named the Chicago School, as this is a perfect example of their type of architecture. It is a coincidence. The Chicago School of Psychology are the major tenants. Here on your right, massive building, the Merchandise Mart. Now do you notice the bronze heads sitting on the pedestals here in front of the building? David Letterman referred to them as the Pez Hall of Fame. Chicago does not hold its highest honors for noblemen or politicians, no way. The highest honors in our city go to those merchant princes. Field, Filene, Ward, Wanamaker, Sears, Rosenwald, Booth, those are the men that built the city. Marshall Field puts up $38 million in the 1920s to build this monolith. Unfortunately, the Depression intervenes and he has to sell. He sells the building for 1/3 of the original cost, about $12.5 million, to Joseph P. Kennedy. The Kennedys own the Merchandise Mart, one of the crown jewels of their family, up to just a few years ago. The Renato Realty Trust Company bought it $625 million, cash, stock, and debt. Yes, the Kennedys even threw in this building with the sale right next door, the Apparel Mart. 1977, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. Two buildings are connected by a pedway. Now, when this building was completed in the 70s, there were no windows, none. One architect critic described it as a high-rise basement. The reason for no windows, it was for the clothing wholesalers. Our Chicago Sun-Times newspaper, because their building has been torn down. Angular in shape, porthole windows, spiral staircases on the exterior as well as the interior. Each of the cottages, 5, 6, or 7 levels in height, and having their own balconies along with their own place to